Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. As-salatu was-salam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I was asked to fill you in about William Shawcross and the Henry Jackson Society and what it means with in the context of Cage's recent victory. You know, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was struggling in Mecca for 13 years, and the leadership of Quraysh opposed him. I think of the leadership of Quraysh as three types. There's the type like Abu Talib, or like the Muslims of Banu Hashim, who helped break the boycott, the people, the Quraysh of Banu Hashim, who are not Muslim, who helped break the boycott of the Muslims. Or Abu Talib, who helped the Prophet ﷺ, but still he would go to him sometime when pressured by the other leaders of Quraysh to give up his struggle. But he was there to support him. He tried to help him. And then there were the other types who were working hard to stop the mission of Rasulullah ﷺ. And even they can be divided into two types. Utbah bin Rabi'a, who was killed in Badr, he once went to the Prophet ﷺ as the good cop. He went with an offer. You can be king. You can have women. You can have wealth. And Rasulullah ﷺ rejected his offer, reciting verses of Quran that even made Utbah fall into sujood. And he went back to the leaders of Quraysh and said, leave him, leave him. Either leave him to the Arabs. Either they will finish him, or he will bring you honor. And then there was the type like Abu Jahl, who would stop at nothing against his mission against Islam. No rules. The aim and the end was that the order of Quraysh would reign supreme, and the shirk of Quraysh would reign supreme. It would not be challenged. Henry Jackson, William Shawcross, Michael Gove, the neocons, you could call them. These guys, they believe in democracy, they believe in liberalism, they believe in capitalism, they believe in these new gods of today. But like Abu Jahl, they believe that it is right to do anything, whether it's to use the charity sector, whether it's to use the economy, whether it's to use the law, whether it's to use politics, whether it's to use military means to make liberal democracy supreme within Britain and across the world. Go to the website of the Henry Jackson Society and go and see what their own mission statement is about the dominance and the supremacy of liberal democracy in the world. That's why so many of these characters, including Shawcross, backed the Iraq War in 2003 when most people in this country didn't. Go to read about Henry Jackson himself, why they admire him so much, why they named this society after him. Because in the Cold War, he was a fiercely anti-communist senator, fiercely pro-war in Vietnam, and believed that liberal democracy needed to be exported. He didn't like the realpolitik of doing deals with dirty dictators who allowed them to do their own business in their own countries. He wanted to see their values forced across the world. That's the reality of the people you're dealing with. Shawcross was a director of the Henry Jackson Society before he went into the Charities Commission. And also on the board of the Charities Commission, I think the brothers from Cage are going to put some emails up, but you won't be able to read them here. But I tell you, I understand they're going to put these up on their website in time. But I would urge you to read these emails, because these are disclosures what came out in court about the kinds of conversations that the board members of the Henry Jackson Society, of the Charities Commission, slip of the tongue. Yeah, but actually, you know what? Included in these, William Shawcross, Orlando, I'm going to say Bloom, but it's not Bloom. What is it? Orlando Fraser, thank you very much. Former Conservative Party candidate, lawyer, right? Guy called Professor Gwyneth Prince from LSE, who is on the advisory board of the Henry Jackson Society. So now you can see why I'm getting confused. Guy called Kenneth Dibble, who is a legal officer in the Charities Commission, so he's Officer Dibble. These guys are exchanging emails, basically saying, we got to get Cage. We got to use this opportunity to get the backers of Cage and put huge pressure on them. And when you read these after this defeat for them, you actually realize it's more than just a defeat for them. This is something which has backfired spectacularly. Because I agree with our brother before who said our job is not to pick a fight with the establishment. But frankly speaking, we have very few tools at our disposal. And when they lose like this, I don't think the thing to do is to stay silent. They have shaken the confidence in a regulatory body in this country, one of the institutions of society, that relies on trust, right? It's like Ofsted relies on the fact that schools respect them. The police rely on the fact the public trust the police. When the police are doing too much stop and search and huge numbers of community in the country don't trust them, Theresa May gets heavy on the police. What the Charities Commission have done has shaken trust in an institution in this country. And actually, we should spread that message. We should say to the mosques that are going to get targeted by this organization if David Cameron's counter-extremism policy comes through and they threaten to close buildings that allow extremists to speak. They will try and close mosques. We should actually build a culture in the Muslim community and wider that this body, under these people who have hijacked it for their own political agenda, have no trust. That is something, if you understand the way these systems rely on trust, that is something that is extremely damaging. And I say that without any shame. There's a lot been said, the brother said I've got to finish, but there's a lot been said about being citizens and subjects, okay? I've never defined myself as a British citizen before I was a practicing Muslim, and I don't ever define myself as a British Muslim. I define myself as a Muslim. And you know what? If you actually really felt like you weren't out of place here, if you thought to yourself, I've lived here, this is my home, I've been here all my life, you'd have no issues with just saying, yeah, I'm a Muslim. I'll happily drop the British or the Pakistani or the immigrant or any other label. I would just feel happy with that. I like the idea of this, what the brothers have said about being engaged citizens. Why? You know what? People in this country, frankly, if they feel they don't owe anything to anyone, they just take what is their right. Not more than that, not less than that. Where I live, we have wheelie bins. They want to start charging us 100 quid a year for those wheelie bins. One of my patients, an Englishman called Bill, he said, well, I'm damned if I'm paying 100 quid for those bins. You know what we're all going to do? We're all going to send them back, see what the council does with 1,000 wheelie bins. Yeah? That is the attitude of somebody who doesn't define himself as a white, non-Muslim, Christian, whatever. He just is. He just is. And you know what? Yeah, we aren't subjects of the Queen. We aren't subjects of David Cameron, of the government. We are subjects of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are subjects of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is extremely empowering. It is extremely empowering. And I don't see any contradiction between feeling that and living as a good person here. Giving my neighbor his or her rights according to what Islam says. Giving the best example of Islam, like our brother said. And I don't see any contradiction in that and sending back my wheelie bin or taking the Charities Commission to court. It is the way you feel. It is fundamentally, this whole discussion is about a mindset you have about yourself. Whether you call yourself a British Muslim, which I have no problem with because I understand what Sheikh Haitham is talking about. If you call yourself a British Muslim, or you just call yourself a Muslim, or somebody says, you know what, I came from another country, I'm a Pakistani Muslim, or I'm Palestinian Muslim, or I'm a mixed race Muslim. I don't care what you call yourself. It is your mindset of whether you respect yourself fundamentally, you fear Allah fundamentally, and you do your duty by everyone. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum.